Welcome to Custom Crafts and More. My name is Karen and I'm the owner and creator here. Today we have a special video for you, a collab with Garden Bloom's Creative Business Group. We were each sent a mystery box for our Christmas or holiday flippin' frenzy. I received my box from Cindy at Sparks of Vintage. So as you can see here, she sent some ornaments, some wooden houses. This, I'm not sure if it was pewter or metal, but it looked like a sugar dish. This box that I could not bring myself to upcycle. Some more of those wooden cutout houses. This box was full of goodies, guys. This glass jar, I believe it said marjoram on it. The seal was still good. This little glass hook. Vintage cookie cutters, which are one of my favorites. And then she sent all kinds of resin moldings here that Point said was gorgeous. Just different ornaments, baubles. There were some, yeah, right there's more baubles. Some soldiers. And then these cute little wooden houses. This box was jam-packed. This little, it was kind of like, I don't know, paper mache or cardboard, a sign, and this rolling pin that said husband tamer. That one I did not tell my husband about. So project one, we used the little pedestal, and I painted it cashmere by Fusion. I wanted a white, but not a pure stark white, and it took 2 coats to cover that blue. You can see there in the screen that I also ended up painting those ornaments or baubles red, but when we get to that project, you'll see that they started out green. I had trouble making up my mind. So 1 good coat of cashmere, and then I did a second one off screen. Fusion does have great coverage, but I just wanted to make sure that that blue was completely covered up. And then I had this bottle brush tree. So you see that there's already a wood round glued to it. So that was the wood round from the bottle brush tree, but I had cut it out and put it on upside down, so what the little bit of metal that was left helped it stick. And then I had another wood round that I stuck the bottle brush tree in. It was just too tall. So here I have some snowflake garland that came from Hobby Lobby. I wanted to keep this somewhat neutral, so I put the garland around that scalloped edge, and this was just to hide some of the imperfections on that edge. There was one side that I made sure to put to the back that was just a little bit bent. And then unfortunately there is a large part of this that I did not get on film or was difficult to see, but I left some of it in there. And I applied greenery to the base, to those wooden bases. I left them neutral, and here you see I've got some pine cones and rusty bells and just little pieces of greenery that I glued on there, and you'll see in the end result. So project 2, we took some more items from the box. Here you see we took those little houses, and I did put a coat of cashmere on the front, and then I painted the sides and the back with Highlander from Fusion Mineral Paint. The red did take 2, sometimes 3 coats. There was one of these that was painted kind of a white anyway, and so the Fusion took a little, the red took a little more to cover up on that one. And then unfortunately I didn't get it on film, but you'll see in the next clip I used transfers from Iron Orchid Designs, Kitschy Christmas, I believe, from last year's holiday release, and applied 2 ornaments and some bells to these houses after they dried. And you can see those baubles there in the green. So I also had some spindles left over from a shelf that I'd cut apart, and so I thought they were perfect to put those little houses on. And there you see the IOD transfers are on there. And then I just cut up some greenery and attached greenery to the base. You can also see I used some textured snow on the top of those houses. Honestly, I don't know where most of that video went. I know I recorded it, but there were a lot of blank videos on my phone for some reason. So here you see just gluing, using my wire cutters to press on that glue because it was hot. Didn't want to burn my fingers. So these are just little pieces that I cut off of various greenery in my stash. Some probably from Hobby Lobby, some from garage sales, possibly some from Dollar Tree. Usually I stock up on Christmas greenery when the stores go 70 and 90% off, and so I just have a tub of it that I pull from each year. So these are some sparkly holly berries. Those I know came from Hobby Lobby. They typically have those each year. And then I had these little acorns. I did put a rusty bell on the one with bells. And then I was like, they weren't quite done. So I took these wood circles I had and once again painted them in Highlander from Fusion Mineral Paint. Fusion Mineral Paint has a sealer built in, so I didn't have to worry about sealing any of these projects. I did not seal over the transfers because I figured nobody would be rubbing on them or anything. They would just be decor for the Christmas season. So I gave one good coat of Highlander to all of the circles, and once they dried, I used the Type Bond glue and I glued the spindles with the house on them and just gave them a little bit sturdier of a base there. So once that dried, I got the snow texture back out and used a popsicle stick and just applied a thick coat to the bottom of those. I wanted to make sure that there was the gap between the spindle and the circle was completely covered by snow, and to make it look like the snow had built up on them to match the top. Now my snow text is a year old, so it does tend to dry out, so it was a little harder to get down, but there was still enough moisture in it that I was able to get the effect that I wanted. And we will see the final reveal at the end. So project 3, we used a few items from the bin. So this was the sign, and I put a coat of cashmere on it. And I also started with cashmere on those baubles. One was painted, one wasn't, so I just wanted to give it a coat so we were starting at the same place. And as you'll see, I then painted them green. I gave the rolling pin one good coat of cashmere in the middle, and then on the ends, Highlander. I wasn't too worried. I got the Highlander a little bit on the cashmere, but I knew that I was going to distress, so I wasn't too worried about that. One end of the rolling pin did look like a dog had chewed it, but we're going to cover that up with greenery. So I pulled out this Good Tidings Iron Orchid transfer. I'm not sure where it's from, but I do know it's either from last year or the year before, and put that in the middle of the sign. I used the little ornaments baubles to kind of measure to make sure I was in the middle. I did distress the edges of the sign just a little bit. So we got this on, and transfers are super easy to use. They come with a transfer stick, and you just press down and pull that transfer paper up. So I lost some footage of drilling holes into the sign and putting the ribbon through. But as you can see, we hung 2 of those cookie cutters and then that rolling pin in the middle. So I just took some more greenery out of my stash and cut it up and started gluing it to the top of the rolling pin. So this is the side of the rolling pin that had the hole, but also looked like it had been chewed up maybe by a dog or just used as a husband tamer over time. I'm not sure. But we covered it up with the greenery and some more pine cones and some rusty bells. We got some snowy greenery in there as well. And then I had this gold kind of viney stuff as well that I wrapped around a paintbrush and made some curly cues for it. There's some more of those red berries. These don't have the beads on them, but these also did come from Hobby Lobby. So just getting all that glued on with hot glue, making sure it's sticking down. I wanted the greenery to kind of come down the rolling pin, but not all the way onto the rolling pin. So you can see there I'm inserting those curly cues with the little gold beads on them. I believe that came from Dollar Tree a couple years ago. And you can also see there how tall that bottle brush tree was before I cut off the base and added it. Guys, my workspace is messy. It's always messy as much as I try to keep it clean. This is just what I work best in, chaos. So we got all our greeneries on, and then I thought it was just a little too plain, so I took some more of those IOD transfers and added them to the rolling pin. It was just some ivy from one of last year's. And then here you can see those baubles are red, and then I added some DIY gold wax to the top of them and then glued them in place on either side of that good tidings. And you can see the gold wax, and of course I drop it and get glue everywhere because that was the night I was having. You guys, I literally had glue everywhere. Glue from the glue gun, all the spider webby things from the glue gun, everything all over the place. This one I didn't get enough glue on because most of it was on my fingers, so I had to re-glue it. And there I am, just taking off some of that excess glue. Oh, and then I was like, maybe we'll put that on to keep it on, but no. So here's our final reveal with our projects. Our 3 little houses with the snow on them turned out adorable, and then our hanging rolling pin and bottle brush tree. So thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in to the next person on the playlist and follow along with our premiere. We're so glad you joined us today. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please like and subscribe.